Well, what is up? Welcome back to the Casual Chaos Podcast, the Sports Wagering Community. I'm JayAsh, one of your hosts. I'm joined, as always, by Jeff and Bubba. What is up, fellas?
Not much, man. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Doing good. Derby week. Excited
to be here. Excited to talk about it. Jeff, you didn't sound excited.
Well, it's still a few days away. I'll get there.
Okay. Well, you're excited to be here.
Always excited to be here.
All right. Well, let's once again reintroduce ourselves to the audience. If you are joining us for the first time tonight, this podcast is about the community, the sports wagering community. We're here to talk about all things sports wager related, straight bets, parlays, winners, bad beats, everything in between. We welcome the audience to send in all their tickets to our socials at Casual Chaos Live on all your fancy socials like Instagram, TikTok, X, and so on down the line. If you're returning because you're a fan, we know you're a fan, and we appreciate you guys tuning in every week. We're actually taping this a day early. It's Wednesday, 8:05 p.m. What do you guys got on the TV?
I have the Rockets and the Warriors, and the Rockets are putting it to them right now in the first quarter.
Yes, they are. I'm happy to see that.
I have a split screen with the Rockets, Warriors, and my Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. An elimination game.
Bubba, fresh off of last week's ice melting comments about hockey, came prepared wearing the reverse brand Tampa hat and a Lightning sweater. It's got to be hot. It's hot outside, Bubba. I see you're outside of the pool. It's hot in the sweater.
Signed by Victor Hedman, too. It's kind of I brought it out of the back of the closet. Yes, I got two fans going, though. So
you're going to have to. You might melt that signature.
So you mentioned earlier straight bets and parlays, and we're going to do a little bit better job of explaining what some of this stuff is. You know, it's second nature to us and probably some other people that listen to the pod, but maybe not others. We're especially going to talk a lot about the Derby today, the Kentucky Derby, which is being run this weekend. And we're going to hopefully give a little horse racing 101 for everybody. But real quick, Jay, when you say a straight bet, just give a quick 15-second explanation of what you mean by that.
Straight bet is when you are picking a side of a matchup. So in basketball, you got the Warriors and the Rockets tonight. A straight bet would say you're going to play a winner of that game, either by the points or a point spread or a money line. So for instance, if the Rockets were -3 this evening and you have a straight bet on the Rockets to win, say $100, then they would have to win by 4 points or more. 3 would be what's called a push, which would be a tie, no bet. Anything below that would be a loss. And if Golden State was to win outright, then you would lose your bet as well.
Right. And who sets those lines that you're talking about?
AI these days, but just kidding. Sports books across the country.
Right.
And it's the same for not just the spread or money line. It's the same for over under on points too, right? So you have over, let's just say the game's over 210.5 points. It's a straight bet is over under on one of those things, right? Picking one of those.
Straight bet, but probably a more succinct way to say it is a singular action, right? You're picking an outcome, and the outcome is standalone.
One team to win or lose, basically.
Right. One team to win or lose, one total. You know, one player prop, anything along those lines.
And when we say point total, what we mean by that is just like Vegas will put a line on who was going to win the game, like Jay was talking earlier, -3 or -2.5 for Houston to win tonight. They'll also put a point on a number as far as how many total points will be in the game. So both teams' points combined. So they'll say it's going to be 218.5, and then you're able to bet either the over or the under on that. And again, what that means is Houston's total and the Warriors total will either be over or under 218.5.
Right.
So, yeah. Yep. And we'll get into this a little bit more each episode as we continue the podcast. When we got started, we were absolutely looking at this from the vantage point of, the audience that we run in, our circle of friends, and we wanted to get this thing going with the community and the sharing of the tickets and explaining where everybody's action is. One of the things we are going to do moving forward on every week, if you will, we'll do some, 1 to 2 minute overview on different things. So next week could be player props or getting more in depth in parlays, teasers. You shouldn't tease, but we'll get into them, that type of thing. So before we get into Derby talk, because we are going to spend quite a bit of time on that today, let's talk about the NBA playoffs, since it looks like all of us have it on right now. Let's talk about the weekend, some crazy NBA games, some unbelievable performances by individual players and teams. Let's start with you, Jeff. What stood out this weekend?
Well, that I was very much looking forward to the Clippers, the LA Clippers Denver Nuggets series, and so far it's lived up to expectations. Nuggets are up 3-2. They actually pounded the Clippers yesterday, which was a little bit surprising considering the game before that. Again, if you guys follow sports, I'm sure you've seen it, but it ended with a last millimeter dunk, right, to win the game. Yeah. I mean, it was as close to being, past expiration as possible.
A long fingernail away.
Yeah. So that series has been great. Last night we saw a big comeback in the Pacers-Bucks game, right, to JayAsh's chagrin on that one. But it's interesting. I saw this today that there's been 2 teams in the past 20 years that have lost a playoff game where they were up 7 points in the final minute of the game, and Doc Rivers coached both of them. So that's not great for his track record.
Starting to be a trend.
Yeah, unfortunately. How about you, Bubba? What you been looking at?
I've been watching my Lakers, and they're down. They're down big time. But so it's funny because I'm not a big NBA guy, and I'll just say that right now. But I do watch a little bit of playoffs. If I pick a team, I'll watch them. The Lakers have been the team. They've been getting crushed by Minnesota. How are they a minus 200 favorite tonight? Is there something that I don't know? Am I missing something?
The Lakers?
Yeah.
Yeah. The league doesn't want the Lakers eliminated
but that's
game 5.
I know that's crazy though. Like I would not expect that after watching this, the first 4 games, that they're a minus 2 something. It's like up there too. It's like, I think it was like 230 or 240.
Yeah, I mean, desperation does play a huge factor in these series. So,
but they haven't showed anything. I mean, they've been the games they've been losing have been bad.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, and again, it's all in good fun, but you guys know that Jay and I didn't expect much out of the Lakers. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But from a line setting standpoint, you have home court advantage, so that's good for let's call it 2 points in the NBA. Luka and LeBron battle tested, you know what I mean? So they're still stars. Even though they're not deep, those 2 stars carry a lot of weight, and more importantly, they can put up points. Those 2 can beat you on any given night. Is tonight the night Minnesota finishes off? We'll see. It's going to be a tall order. We do make jokes about the league not wanting teams to go anywhere, but right. It's not conspiracy theory. It's just,
well, check the
referees tonight.
Do they really want to go to 3-2 with I mean, do you want to give them a fighting chance like that? I don't know. It's just
no, they don't. But the Knicks didn't want to go to 3-2 with
right.
Detroit
Correct.
either, and that's what happened yesterday. So
right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
sure. It would not be shocking to me tonight if you see the Lakers come out, feed off of the crowd, get off to a really hot start, and then just get tired because again, Minnesota's going to throw a lot of bodies at them. Right. Ants and alpha for sure. And you just might see Luke and LeBron run out of gas.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I've been super impressed with the Nuggets. Obviously, I think Jeff and I both had them advancing. Joker is every game. He just seems to prove time and time again, he's the best player on the planet. Everything he does is, Jeff and I were texting after the Aaron Gordon dunk, and you can't tell me that was a shot. He 100% passed that ball. He drew that play up and he passed that ball.
He did refute that in the press conference.
Yeah. Just look at the shot angle. That's not his normal shot angle. So, and anyway, it was an unbelievable finish. The Pacers took care of business just like we thought they would. And kind of as we talked about last week, the Knicks and the Pistons are in a rock fight, and I think the Knicks are starting to get wounded from too many rock blows.
The Pacers and the Cavaliers will be a good series. Pacers are better than what people think, and even last year when they were all beat up, they gave Boston all kinds of trouble in the playoffs. Those guys play hard,
Yeah.
So they're healthy this year. The Cavs are really good, and I expect that they'll win, but I think it'll be a good series.
It's going to be an interesting matchup overall. I mean, from a guard standpoint, we know Halliburton can take over games if he chooses to. He typically doesn't. He defers a lot, but he might have to. But I like their team. They're deep. They run. They play much better defense than they did last year. Last year they were kind of a sieve.
And they got a good coach.
Yeah, and we'll see what Cleveland looks like off the rest. I mean, it's always good to take care of business, win your last 2 games by 80 points.
I mean, coaching is very important in these series. You would think that these teams have good coaches, and some of the coaching we've seen over the past few days is just mind-boggling. So,
you guys think either Detroit or New York have a chance against the Celtics? I mean, they look pretty damn good.
No, especially since the Celtics don't. That series won't.
Right, they're gonna have like a week off.
Yeah, and they need it because they're a little beat up. But if they're healthy, those teams don't have a chance.
Yeah. 5 games max. So just going back to the reason why Cleveland and Indiana are matched up is because Cleveland just beat the dog shit out of Miami. So can we get a hashtag heat culture? losing 2 games by 80 points. I mean, what the fuck is going on there?
That's bad.
And if you're Jimmy Butler in Golden State right now, maybe he wasn't the problem.
Right.
Maybe he knew something we didn't know, but or maybe he caused it on the way out. Who knows? But that team is pitiful.
So you're already hearing all the talk about JayAsh trying to get out of Milwaukee this year, right? And I can't blame him if he does. I mean, they won a title a few years ago. He doesn't owe them anything. But you hear a lot of people saying Miami, and I'm like, Miami has nothing to give. Why would Milwaukee trade with Miami?
Yeah, no state taxes, a nice area to live, and no team. So
no players, no draft picks. They don't have anything. The scary thing is if he goes to OKC, because they could give up a couple of quality players and a ton of first-round draft picks, and you add him to that team, and that's a nightmare for pretty much everybody else.
Long time, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, one real quick thing on him. Over the past 10 playoff games that he's played, he's averaging 30 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists. Milwaukee's 1-9 in those games. I mean, it's just him and nothing. They have nothing else on that team. Now, a lot of it's due to injury over the past few years, but still, you got to think he wants out of there at this point, right?
Yeah. What was, and I don't even know how you phrase the stats, Jeff, when you talk. Obviously, points, rebounds, assists are the big 3 stats, right? And if you can combine for, call it 40 points, 40 total out of those 3 categories, you've had a monster game. Giannis and Jokic have made 50 a low number. They're consistently 52 to 55. They're every time you go into that bet, for example, their over-unders are 52.5. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
And
for consistently across the whole season. Yeah.
Yeah. It's sick. It's fun to watch.
Yep.
And Houston's running away with this game. You see this? You guys watching this?
Oh,
yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So do we want to touch on the Lightning, Bubba, since you're wearing the gear? Have you come off your stance? I don't want to take too much time on this because
no, I'm not going to take too much time. But apparently, I'm getting texts as I kind of been looking away. This game has been insane. I mean, it's the first period and it's already 2-2, and there's been a couple power plays back and forth. It's been a dirty series. I haven't been watching because I'm not, but I've seen, some replays of guys getting just bowed in the face on purpose and tackled and, blindsided. So just if they can pull this one out, like I said, nobody wants to go 3-2 and after you're up 3-1, then your other team gets some hope. So we'll see. We'll see if they can win. I'm wearing my jersey for them tonight. Right. So,
all right.
Tampa, like I told producer Tyler before before we started recording, I'm a Tampa guy, not a Lightning guy. So.
It's in the blood.
Got to support the team.
Team. Well, if you need to jump off the pod early and catch the start of the third, let us know. We'll see if we can cover it. All right. Well, Why don't we shift gears? Let's spend some time talking about the Derby. It's a huge week. I know there's a lot of people in the audience that are fans of horse racing and the Derby in general, but there's just something about the Kentucky Derby. It's a bucket list for a lot of people. I was fortunate to go 7 consecutive years before COVID derailed it like it did just about everything else in COVID's path. But man, it just gets better every year. It gets bigger every year. The coverage, the parties. I mean, they've moved the race back to 7:00 at night now, just because everybody wants to be a part of it. The pageantry, everything about it. Whether you're into horse racing or not, if you like a good time, if you like a good crowd, if you like a party, Derby weekend is definitely something you should go check out live in person. If you have parties going on this week and you want to know a little bit more than the person next to you, maybe we can educate you a little bit this week. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about the Derby, but more importantly, let's talk about just wagering 101 before we kind of start getting into some storylines. So, producer Tyler, do we have a graphic?
Yes, sir, we do. We do have a graphic here. Pulling it up right now.
Who wants to take this? Who wants? Bubba, you want to go, or you want me to?
Yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah, absolutely.
You spent some time with Trek.
Yes, I do. Absolutely. So is my son too. He likes the horses too. He's kind of an excuse to go now. But so I'll talk here about, obviously go through it. It's very similar. I mean, it's cross. You can kind of get into, I guess I'll start with this. The win bet is very similar to a straight bet, which we got into at the beginning of the podcast, and I won't go back and forth. But win bet's just picking a horse to win the race. And then I'll move on down to a place bet, and you guys feel free to jump in, if I miss something. But a place bet, you're gonna pick one horse. You can pick multiple horses, but one horse to come in either first or second, and those bets pay out different, right? Jay, I don't actually know the calculation, but I know a win bet, if the horse is, let's just call it 5-1, typically what does the place bet pay out if your horse ends up coming in second? Do you know off the top of your head? Or
you can estimate it's going to be roughly half.
Right.
It all depends on the size of the field. That impacts all the positions. We should point out too, anytime you see something posted, it's all based on a $2 bet. So $2 is your starting point. So, Bubba just used the 5-1 example. If you put in a win ticket and your horse crosses the finish line first and you bet $2, you're going to win $10, five times 2.
Yep. And you can bet this. Go ahead, Jeff. I was going to say, you can bet the same horse to, if you bet win place, now your horse can either come in first or second. If it comes in first, you'll get paid out on both of those.
Correct.
Right. And what I was going to say was it's just a little confusing because technically place means second. So if you go up there and you put a $2 bet and say I'm picking such and such horse to place, that means you're picking them to come in second place. Okay. If you wanted to bet win and place, you'd have to put up $4 for that particular horse. So
correct. And probably a good way to illustrate that as we go through. Anytime you're using multiple positions, so win, place, and show, you're increasing your bet. You can't put in a $2 bet for all 3 positions. It would be $2 for each of those positions. And then from a wagering standpoint, this isn't friendly wagering when you're at your Derby party. This is when you're going and getting a ticket at a window. If you are to put in a place bet, and that horse does finish first, you will actually get paid first place and second place money.
Right.
All right.
Exactly. And then across the board is, like I said, just boxing them all, win, place, and show. So you're picking a horse to either come in first, second, or third, and you'll get paid out. If the horse comes in first, you'll get paid out on second and third as well. It won't be, equivalent to what the first place bet plays. But if it comes in second, you'll get paid out on second and third. If it comes in third, which is show, you'll get paid out on just the show, and you'll lose the other 2.
Yeah, typically those bets, you're going to see those on 5-1 and higher. You actually start losing a little bit of money if you're doing an across the board bet on a even money favorite or a below, even money favorite. So those are typically for longer shot plays, but it is a good way to kind of protect yourself a little bit. So if you have a total bet of say $15 and your horse does miss first and second, but does hit the show board, you're probably going to claw somewhere between $3 to $6 back. So it's not a total loss. It gives you a little bit of breathing room, but you have to hit the board, and that's basically it's called hitting the board.
Yep. And then we'll get into kind of the what do you call these, Jay? The exotics?
They're exotics. Yep.
So the exacta is you're picking the first two in the exact order. So you're picking two horses to come in the exact order, being first and second place.
Yeah.
Right.
So
these are two separate horses. You're picking two separate horses in the same race.
Correct.
Yep.
So if you bet the 4 horse and the 7 horse, and you want the 4 horse to come in first and the 7 horse to come in second, that would be an exacta. A quinella is it's parallel to an exacta, but it has to be that order. If the order comes in 7 and 4, you're going to lose that bet.
Right.
So what do you do in that situation, Bubba?
Say that one more time, Jay.
I said, what do you do in that situation? If
they come
like
in
4 and
reverse order.
7,
Yeah,
in reverse order, how would you play that?
I'm confused. Say it again.
It's the exacta box. Yeah.
Oh, the exacta box. Yeah.
Come on, act like you've been here before.
I was going to go through
the screen for you too.
No, I was going to go through trifecta and then superfecta, and then say you can box all of these bets into whatever order you want. But
sure,
exacta box, you pick same thing. You pick two horses, and let's say you like the 4 and the 7. You don't know which one's going to come in first or second, or you want to be able to bet both of them. No matter which order it comes in, the bet will hit as long as those two horses come in first and second place.
So it's a little bit of an insurance policy for you. You like those two horses, but you don't know who's going to win. So you do the exacta box.
But it's a total of 2 bets, so it's gonna be 2 times whatever you wager.
Correct.
So if it's a $2 exacta and you're going to box it, it becomes a $4 bet. But the reason why you do exactas, it's your odds are increased as well. So in that situation, if you have a horse that's 2 to 1, which isn't going to pay a ton of money on its own, and you box it with a horse that's say 10 to 1, because you're confident that the 4 horse is the favorite, you're confident it's going to cross the line first. You're betting that 7 horse to pop the odds up a little bit. So your $2 bet's probably going to pay somewhere in the neighborhood of, let's call it $18 to $24. If you box it and the 10 to 1 horse actually finishes ahead, you're still going to win your bet. But more importantly, that's going to pay significantly more.
Right.
So typically when you're boxing, you want some value in your odds. You're not just throwing in a willy-nilly long shot for the hell of it. You're trying to be calculated, especially, you'll see come Derby Day, the favorite's going to be probably in that 4 to 1, maybe even, get bet down to 2 to 1 range. You might want a little increased value by adding another horse. And then when you get into the trifecta, now you're going first, second, and third. Same thing, larger bet. You can still do a $2 bet there. But once you start boxing, that $2 becomes a $12 bet because of the variations and combinations.
Yeah. And the simplest reason for that is it's harder to pick 2 horses correctly than it is to pick 1. So you get better odds on that.
Yeah. And what I like to do, just so you guys know, and this is my preference, not anybody else's, maybe not everybody else's, but is a lot of times when I'm doing a box, even if it's a trifecta box, I'll put the favorite second, because a lot of these horse races, they get bet down. The favorite, just by a hair loses, and that's where you really get the odds and get paid out on a bet.
Mm-hmm.
Like an exacta box, I'll put the favorite second majority of the time.
Yep. And then the last thing on the graphic here is the superfecta, which is going to be 4 horses in the exact order. And again, you can box that up as well. Typically a superfecta is lower betting, or I should say a lower start bet, typically 10 cents. And then you increase that how you feel fit. And again, betting 4 horses to come in order is extremely difficult. So you have that box available. What's not on the screen is something called a key. With these exotics is where that 4 horse is not going to lose this race. So you're going to say, I'm going to key the 4 in a trifecta, for example, and you can either add 2 to 3 horses, or you can say all, and it's your 4 horse with the entire field. So as long as the 4-horse crosses the line first, you're going to win your exotic bet.
And believe it or not, there's even more complicated bets than what we're talking about here, but we won't make your head spin any more than we already have.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it to 101 and not go to 201 or 8th grade algebra.
If you have any questions, though, DM us on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, and we'll try our best to answer them. If you have any questions about those crazier set bets that we're not getting into.
Yeah, last thing to transition out of it and just start talking Derby in general. Important to know, especially if you're at the track or if you're having some fun at a party. Typically, the party is more about just the winner, not really odds based. But there's something called a morning line odds is what everything opens up with. So the Derby morning line odds actually came out, I believe, on Saturday or if not Sunday morning when they did the selection Saturday night. Those odds will fluctuate all the way up into post time. And the reason for that is people are wagering on horses all day, every day, including, or I should say specifically the Derby. So the heavy hitters, the sharps, they typically hold their money towards the end or right before the race starts. A lot of variables, jockeys, trainers, track conditions, post positions, things along those lines. So people who are sharps, they're spending a lot of time in analysis, and then they're going to hammer a horse right before the post. So you'll see a dramatic odds drop in certain situations, or you might see a horse you like increase. What's different between horse racing and sports betting is if you bet, the Celtics -8, and you have that ticket, that is your bet, -8. The Celtics have to win by 8. If that number moves in sports books, it doesn't matter. You have a ticket that says -8. Right. When you go to the window and you're betting, Rodriguez at 9-1, that bet isn't official until the gate opens. So when the post closes, the gate opens, whatever the odds are at that time is what your ticket will cash at. So right. important to know if you're going to the track. Again, if you're going to be at a house party just doing friendly wagers and picking winners, you probably don't have to worry about it.
Right. And by the way, Rodriguez is a horse that's running in the Derby. So in case anybody got confused by that. So.
All right. Well, let's talk about the Derby. Producer Tyler, if you want to throw up just, probably a good segue to put up, the entrance to the Derby. Do you guys have a favorite story outside of, my favorite, which is, the Ric Flair of horse racing is back in action. Bob Baffert's going to be at the Kentucky Derby for the first time off a 3-year layoff.
Favorite story as in what? As far as like races that we've bet?
Yeah.
Or,
no,
yeah.
just any talking points. I think one of the best things about the Derby, and I know, like my parents, people who aren't paying attention to horse racing on a regular basis, the whole day of the Derby, there's really great stories about the owners, the horses, where they came from, their kids, how they got named, all that fun stuff. So I haven't seen too much on that. They usually save that for Derby Day. I just know that everybody's been talking about Baffert being back for obvious reasons. He's the winningest trainer at the event. And after Medina Spirit was, nailed for, alleged doping and he served the suspension, he's back training. He has 2 horses in the race.
Long shots though, right?
He's got Citizen Bull and Rodriguez. So morning line 20-1, 12-1.
Yeah, 12-1's not bad. So here's an interesting story. I got a DM from one of our followers, BK. We got to shout him out. He's got some ownership in him. I think him and his dad got some ownership in some of these. One Horse in the Oaks early on is the name of the horse. Fantastic. And then they have 10% of can't pronounce it. Where's it at? Neoquos or where's it at there? Yeah, and the Derby. So yeah, that's pretty cool. He sent that over to us. So just wanted to give him a shout out. That's pretty awesome.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Story that I thought was amazing, and it came out, obviously. I saw it today, and then you just broke my heart at the beginning of the pod or before we started recording about Toby Keith's horse, Render Judgment.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his horse, and his dream was to always, get to the Derby. And obviously he's passed away, but they were saying he's got the best seat in the house to watch his long shot horse run. He finally, his dream came true, but I guess he's scratched now, you said?
No, I read something earlier that suggested he might be pulled for a different race. So I'm not going to, say that's set in stone. I didn't validate the art. It was something quick I looked at. So I don't want to use this pod as a platform and get aggregated that we don't know what we're talking about.
No, yeah, for sure. Well, if that's true, then I think his horse is in. So I saw a nice article about it today.
I got to be honest with you. I mean, if he's in, great. He's not going to win. So
no, he's definitely not going to win. But it's nice for Toby Keith.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Absolutely.
My quick story, I guess, would just be that again, I'm in the Philadelphia area, and the local track. It's actually north of Philadelphia slightly, but the local track used to be called Philadelphia Park. They had a horse that used to run there called Smarty Jones. This is back in the early 2000s. So when I saw that he was running in the Triple Crown races, I certainly threw some money on him. He was a very big long shot at the beginning, and he won the first 2 races of the Triple Crown.
Yep.
Including the Kentucky Derby, which was a shock at the time. So I made a little bit of money off of Smarty, and they still bring Smarty out every year around the track. You know, he's like a local celebrity around here. It's kind of funny, you know.
Love it.
Philadelphia Derby is a big thing up here. It's grade 1, you know. So that'd be my, you know, again, that was, I think, 04. He was running in 04. So
yep,
that was a pretty cool story. So
I have a question for you guys. How often do you look at, like, in the Kentucky Derby, there's 20 horses, right? It's like it's a wild race, but anything can happen. I mean, we saw that you know, I think 2 years ago. But how often do you guys bet the horse, right? You look at the horse and the numbers in this race, or do you like bet the jockey? Is it the trainer? You talk about Baffert. Like, are you looking at like jockeys? Because I watched obviously the Netflix series I talked about on the last pod, but Brian Hernandez, like I saw like you had some detail into his life and stuff, and I kind of like, you know, I'm rooting for the guy. He's on a 12-1 horse, I think. Burnham Square.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like I'm betting that. You know, I'm betting the 9 horse for sure. So we'll see. But how often do you guys look at jockeys instead of horses?
At local tracks, jockeys are very, very important because usually the best jockeys get put on the best horses. You know what I mean? So,
right.
As far when you start talking about these bigger races, I mean, all the jockeys are really good for the most part that ride these horses. So I don't pay necessarily as much attention to that. I do pay attention to the trainers, though. Certainly, you know, and especially with the Derby, you know, a lot of long shots have won over the past, 10 years, you know. So I think this is the one race in the Triple Crown where you could really have some fun and take some chances, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, to use a cliche or you know, euphemism, you know, all bets are off in the Derby, right? And it's because of the size of the field. You know, you got the extended gate. You know,
usually wet. It's usually
I mean, you know, your points races leading up to this are 8 to 10 horses, right? So you're double the field. It's obviously a longer distance than the horses are prepping for, et cetera. So, you know, Bubba, I've been to the track with you before, and, you know, obviously Jeff many times. You know, we've talked about this locally. You know, jockey trainer combinations usually rule the day. But you know, the reality is, and this is true local tracks at any given race, right? If you're a handicapper, you know, you're going off of buyer speed, you're going off of past performance, you know, you're going to factor in a lot of things, you know, okay, the horse came in second,
workouts,
what did the winning horse of the race, you know, that they exited second, what did that
how
horse
many
do the next
furlongs?
time? Yeah. So there's all kinds of combinations. So if you go into this race and you tell me, you know, hey, I'm a Baffert guy, I like Rodriguez, Mike Smith, what a combination, there's speed there. Cool. That's a great handicapping. If you tell me you like the 7 horse because your favorite number 7, cool. Right. If you tell me you like the name, right. I mean, and how many times you've been at a Derby party and you've done all your research and you've got, you know, 37 different exotics plus, you know, 9 separate winners, you've got $1,500 of tickets in your hand. And, you know, somebody next to you goes, I like blue. You go, what?
Yeah, you're rooting against me because
right. And it's, you know, insert clever name here, and then the horse wins, and you're looking at that and they're going crazy. They're having a good time. Your night's ruined. You're drunk. You're like, this sucks. Why do I do this? Ripping your tickets up. So the reality of the Derby is have some fun. You know, we're not going to tell you who to bet on or anything along those lines on this podcast. We'll show you. We'll talk about who we like, and I'll definitely be posting day of, so everybody can at least, if you want to follow it. If nothing else, say I suck at the end of the day. I don't care. But
hey, I have a question.
Just have some fun with it. Figure out what the storyline is. I'm going to talk about a horse that's got a good fan storyline too. So
yeah, I have a question. When Baffert got his horse got caught doping, and they paid out every ticket that day that won, how did that, was that a shit show?
No, it wasn't, because you can't call the tickets back. He didn't. The Medina Spirit didn't get hit until, was a week later.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So how does that work? Because they moved the second place horse into the official winner, right?
Correct. So from the standpoint of the ownership trainer jockey combination, the people who won the race, they would have to, I believe they had to, give back the winnings. So the waterfall of first, second, third, fourth place payouts, everybody got elevated. First place returned it. Everybody else received what they would have. So if your horse finished fifth, now it's fourth, third, so on up the ladder. So the waterfall of money just flowed down to them.
Right. But I'm talking about physical tickets. What if you bet the horse that came in second and then you just threw your ticket away because it didn't?
Yeah, but you can't go back to the track and get your ticket. You threw it away.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I understand that. But online betting, if you're on FanDuel and you bet, did you get reimbursed? Did they take money back out of people's accounts? What happened with that?
I don't remember specifically. I remember that was a huge talking point that year. I think I was at Tampa Bay Downs, so I was live betting. I wasn't on an app, so I don't remember. I don't recall, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm wondering what happened with that. I'm wondering if you guys had any insight.
I can tell you. I can tell you this, Bubba. Quick story. The Derby, the year Maximum Security won and then got disqualified. We were at that race. My buddy Oki was behind me. We did not have Maximum Security, and I had a bunch of second and third place tickets in combinations that I kind of doubled up and threw in front of me. I turned around and looked at him. He's like, "We're gonna get out of here. Try to, it's a shit show getting out of there." He's like, "Meet you at the normal spot." I said, "Cool." And Kristen and I were just kind of sitting there for a minute, and there was an inquiry, and it was just taking way too long. So I reached over and I picked up the ticket. I saw exactly where I put them. I picked up the tickets, and I looked at her. I said, "Hey, start picking up tickets off the ground." And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "It's cash." I'm like, "Something's going on here." I go, "This is taking way too long." It was already 10 minutes.
Wow.
And I said, "So anybody who, ripped up a second, third, fourth place ticket, any type of exact, whatever."
Yeah.
So sure enough, we start walking around, and we're just, we look like a couple, degenerates, just a bunch of dressed up degenerates. We're picking up tickets and whatnot. And sure enough, the board flips, Max Security DQ'd, and everybody elevated. I cashed, I think, 2,700 and tickets off the ground, not my tickets.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, a couple $100 winners, that type of thing. So it was obviously more win tickets than anything. So people who had the second place horse, So anyway, hold your tickets, people. Hold your tickets till it's official.
Hold on to them. Hold on to them for 2 weeks.
So, well, let's kind of jump into what each of us like. I mean, you can get as in depth as you want. Have you formed your board at this point? Are you set on what you're going to do? You got an idea? You like a couple horses? You're going to wait till race day? What do you like?
I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for the most part, but I like to look at pedigree, and I see two horses with American Pharaoh along their pedigree, along their lineage. So
yes, sir.
One of them is Luxor Cafe, which I think morning odds are 15-1. And then the other one is, where's it at? I think, is it Grande? No, it's Publisher at Irad Ortiz Jr.'s on them. Steve Asmussen, 20-1 morning odds. So those are the two that I'm looking at. I think they'll get bet down. I think you'll see them at closer to 10-12-1 when it goes off. But those are two I'm looking at, and then I'm not betting the favorite. I know that. That's something that I know for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got 4 horses. I'm probably going to bet on to win. That's usually what I do. I don't do a lot of the more exotic type stuff. Publisher is one of them, Bubba. So, we're together on that one. By the way, you mentioned he opened at 20-1. He's at 31-1 today. So that number has moved. Big time. But he's got a good post position. He's basically right in the middle, and he was the runner-up at the Arkansas Derby, which so he's not having a bad year to this point. Sandman, one of the co-favorites. I just like the name that drew me to it, right away. That's what Ashley was talking about earlier. It would have been better if it was Enter Sandman, but Sandman's good enough. Opened at 6-1, down to 5-1. He actually won the Arkansas Derby. The one funny thing about him is he's coming out of the 17th spot, which I guess is old for the past 45. So
it's never won.
Yeah, never. Okay, so maybe they'll
it's the only post position that's never hit.
Maybe they'll break that curse with Sandman.
Wow.
Citizen Bull, we talked about Bob Baffert earlier. Down to 16-1, open to 20-1. Won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile last year. Didn't run great at the Santa Anita this year, so I think that's the reason why people were down on him. But I heard Baffert talk about both horses that he's got. The other one being Rodriguez, and I don't know. To me, it just seemed like he was much more optimistic about Citizen Bull. So I'll probably throw some money there. And then the last one is Burnham Square, which again we talked about him a little bit earlier as well. He's another one. He opened at 12-1. He's at 22-1 right now. So the money's not going his way in the early going. But he's bluegrass winner, and you asked earlier about jockeys, Bubba. He's got the jockey that was on Mystic Dan last year that won the Derby. So looking to win 2 in a row. So those are my 4, I think.
All right. Well,
very good.
I'm gonna shit all over some of what you guys just said,
fine,
but because I've got some similar takes, but there's some stats that are just not fun to look at. I've got 4 as well. At least one of these I'll be hitting pretty hard, but we'll wait until we get a little bit closer and see what type of movements we have. I like journalism. It's tough betting favorites, but if that stays 4-1, 5-1, I don't know how you. I've seen it that it potentially might go down to 6-5. He's got the best speed figures in all metrics. The horse doesn't lose, and he's been battle tested. He was battle tested in the Santa Anita Derby and closed strong. So like him, like Sandman, like Jeff said, multiple reasons there. Jose Ortiz, Mark Cass as a trainer, jockey combination. Cass had a monster meet season at Gulfstream. Casual fans going to like him because he's a gray horse. Metallica has been tweeting about him, posting about him on X.
The gray horse. Yeah.
So you got Metallica at the Enter Sandman vibe there. But as I pointed out to Jeff, no horses ever won from 17. So he's due, or at least that number is due. Number 4, Rodriguez. I like that horse out of the Baffert stable more than Citizen Bull. I think Citizen Bull, as always, if you're in that one horse, the one hole, you're just going to get buried. He's got speed. Rodriguez has huge speed. He's an authentic offspring. Baffert, Mike Smith combination. Mike Smith's 56, 57 years old, but still knows how to win a race. And then Bubba, number 7, just like you, looking at the American Pharaoh lineage. The issue there is going to be, again, no horses won from Japan. This is the best Japanese horse in the race. There's 2 of them, but it just doesn't fit the bill. That's probably a horse I'm going to stick in some exotics underneath, just because it's a closer. So one of the things I do want to point this out too. There's a wild card here. So if any of these horses do get scratched or pulled before the race, there's Baeza, which is 12-1. It's not even on the board, and it's 12-1. That's the horse that battled journalism in the Santa Anita Derby. Starting to lose my voice. So if that horse pops in, I think you're going to see some action on it because it's a pretty well touted horse. But a couple things to point out. over the last couple of years, since 2013. Where are my numbers here? We are looking at 4 closers have won this race, including the last 3 years consecutively. So what's that mean? What's a closer? Closer is a horse that you're going to see kind of to the middle or late in the pack, where the speed of the race is going to come out. So everybody gets excited. You got 2 or 3 horses that come out and just set the pace. The closers are the ones that are just going to sit back, let the horse stretch its legs, let everybody else tire themselves out, and then they're going to make a huge push in the last turn. So if you're going to look at recent history, like I said, the last 3 and 4 out of the last 5 have been closers to win this race. So that means you're looking at the following for a closer list. Jeff, number 9, Burnham Square.
Mm-hmm.
Number 11, Flying Mohawk, 30-1. Bubba, number 13, Publisher, 20-1. Here's where I shit on Publisher because it's a good horse. It's a maiden. It's never won a race. There's never been an entry into the Derby as a maiden to win the Derby. More importantly, it's being trained by Asmussen, the winningest trainer of all time. Also, I believe this is an accurate statement, at 0-26 has had the most Kentucky Derby mounts without ever winning the race.
Oh my God.
So it's not looking good for Publisher based on history, but hey, everybody's any given Saturday, right?
He's due. Yeah, he's due.
That's it. So number 14, Tistastic at 20-1. Number 15, Render Judgment if he runs. Number 16, Cole Battle at 30-1. Sovereignty at 5-1, and then Chunks of Gold at 30-1. All right, so those are all your closers. If you are just looking for the long shot, those are the type of long shots you want to play. Just like last year or the year before last, where it was 99-1, no one had that horse coming, and he just found a lane and pulled on through. So I think the last thing I'll add, and if you guys want to add anything, but just for the casual listener, if you're going into it and you just want to pick numbers, the top 4 since 1930 post positions. Number 5 has won it 10 times. So that's going to be American Promise. Number 8 and number 10 have each won it 9 times. So that's going to be Journalism or Grande. Number 1 and number 7 have won it 8 times. So there's Citizen Bull and Luxor Cafe, excuse me. And then I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see the number. And then there's a couple that have had 8 winners. And then number 1, as we said, has had 0 since 1986.
Wow.
And by the way, when we're talking about these numbers, they literally line the horses up across the track. So when Ashley is talking about number 1, he means it's the first horse, and then it just number 2 is right next to that horse, number 3, etc. It just keeps going right across.
Right.
Yeah. And for people who know what we are talking about, if you're following, you're probably either shaking your head or you're going to be yelling at us going, we'll talk about before they extended it to 20 horses and, the double gates and So the reason why I brought up 1930, that's the first time they actually used a starting gate. So,
wow.
Good stuff.
So that's it.
Educational. I like it.
That's it. So that is, I wish this was a radio show. Call us right now and let's talk horses. So, but I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Like I said, I'm planning on posting. I'll post on Casual Chaos Live, on Instagram for sure, maybe even TikTok. Just a picture of a couple of my tickets and a little pre-race commentary.
I'm going to send some in too. So we can use them. Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure. I'll be at guess where? Disney betting the Kentucky Derby. So
yeah, so we won't do an emergency pod from Disney.
No, but I'll definitely send some tickets in along with yours so we can, have some posts throughout the day.
Well, let's pivot because you said tickets. Producer Tyler, let's talk some tickets.
All righty, boys. So we'll start off with Tyler,
you got any horses you're eyeing at the moment, or you haven't started looking at it yet?
Very little looking, but I did like Luxor Cafe, or however you pronounce it. American Pharaoh is what I'm looking at there. And, I know the Japanese horses haven't won recently, or ever, but eventually they'll break through, and we'll
due.
see. We will see on that, but we'll start off with the winner here. We got $1 Ant. We had the draft last week. We didn't talk about it much today. We had Shedeur Sanders dropping all the way down to the 5th round. We were talking about it, chatting about it last week, but Ashton Genty, $1 Ant, nailed this pre-draft pick here with Ashton Genty to the Las Vegas Raiders. A little $25 wager, paid out $112. So about a $90 win or so there, nailing Ashton Genty for the Las Vegas Raiders. So that's a good little W there. You guys have any other notes there from the draft? I know we didn't touch on it a lot today, but obviously once we got done last week, it was only 10, 15 picks in or so.
Well, that I was very against the Steelers drafting Sanders, and I do feel bad for the kid. I didn't expect him to have the type of drop that he did, but I am happy the Steelers didn't take him. So that was my big take from the draft, was the Steelers didn't take Sanders. So now he's playing for the Browns. Well, he got drafted by the Browns, and who knows, he might come back to haunt me for the next decade, for all I know. But I'm still happy that he's not playing for Pittsburgh. So
I like this ticket. I like the pick for the Raiders. I'm pretty sure there was at least one other pod or TV segment on Shedeur, so I'll just pass on commentary. I think everybody's heard enough.
No, I don't think anybody talked about him really.
Yeah, what else though? Anything else from the draft catch your eye, real quick?
I thought the Bucs had a good overall draft from a local standpoint. I think they found an interesting way to counterbalance their ability to win immediately and kind of stockpiling some assets for the future when some of the older guys are going to have to, move on in the next year or two at the end of the contracts for age and other purposes. I love the guard that the Cowboys picked up in the 1st round. I know, you're not supposed to draft a guard that high, but he's a beast. He's, he fits the bill. They need a dog on the line. So I like it. Nothing else really. It wasn't an exciting draft. I think the whole Sanders thing took way too much air out of it. I feel bad for Cam Ward. The kid basically got his name announced and no one talked about him. Yeah, exactly. So
did you I don't know if you guys saw this, but that coach for the Falcons for that prank call that went down got fined $250,000. And then there was another Carter from the Giants pick. He said he also got a prank call.
Yeah, I heard that.
I think it happens a lot. Like, I think it happens every year. It's just Shedeur also went to the 5th round. If he gets picked in the 1st round, it's probably not as big of a story. But the fact that he slid as far as he did, I think it happens every year. It happened to Baker. Now it was one of his buddies doing it, not someone else. But I think it happens a lot. A lot more than you think.
If he gets picked in the 1st round, there's no prank call because they did it like the 2nd day, I think.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, very well might have. But yeah, I mean, tough for. He got a chance to start. There's like 5-6 quarterbacks there, but it'll be interesting to see what they do. That dude from the Cowboys drafted, Jay. Your Cowboys drafted. I don't know if you heard him talk about football on a different podcast. How he likes to see the soul come out of his opponents while he's playing against them. Play after play after play of beating him up. I was like, oh God, this guy's an animal. Just a freak of nature. This dude.
We need that guy. Yeah, we need that guy in Tampa.
Bubba. Yeah, I would have loved him, but he'll go block for a bad quarterback over there, and we'll see what happens.
So, Bubba, what did you think of Tampa's draft? Because I know last week you were talking defense, and that didn't exactly happen.
I know. They went 2 wideouts off the rip, but they drafted a kid who I've met from Notre Dame a couple times. Like, seriously, the nicest, most genuine kid. Like so happy to have him here in Tampa. But I saw there was it's the corner from Notre Dame, Ben Morrison.
Yep.
But I saw that I saw Rondé came out hot yesterday saying he's not getting number 20 because that's what he wore at Notre Dame. I thought that was funny, but no, I mean they ended up
honor. You can't get it.
Yeah. Is it retired though?
Yeah, you're in the Ring of Honor. You can't walk around with somebody's jersey when you're in the Ring of Honor.
You had the dude that went to the Giants just called LT and was like, "Hey, I want 56."
Yeah.
That's been handled though.
Yeah. But and Cam Ward's going to wear 1. Warren Moon, which is a little different because like Warren Moon didn't play for the Tennessee Titans, but Warren Moon's allowing him to wear 1 for the Titans. So Cam Ward will be
Yeah.
wearing number 1, which is retired.
That's awesome.
But all these guys are talking about like using retired numbers. Like,
Yeah, it's kind of a compliment to them, right? But like at the same time, it's like, you know,
I busted my ass for like 20 years. You're not getting my
Yeah.
number. Like, that's
I will
the
tell
whole
you
point
though,
of it.
Jeff, to your point though, I was at Notre Dame, Ohio State 2 years ago, and I saw Benjamin Morrison dominate Marvin Harrison Jr.
He was an
I mean,
All-American.
He dominated him. I saw it live, and I was like, this is pretty good. So when they picked him up, they satisfied a need, and they got a really, really good player on the field and in the community too.
Yeah, he missed most of last year because of I think of the knee injury. He blew out his knee, so I mean he is coming back from that. But if he's healthy, man, he can play. Yeah, you guys got a good one.
Very nice. Well, we'll get into another. That was our little brief recap on the NFL draft there. But got another winner here from Johnny Hammer. Johnny Hammer got a W. And I don't know if you guys have seen these little bets on our friends over at the Hard Rock Bet. They do these battle of the bets every day, and it's usually like an over and under, and they'll have like a kind of a high over for the games, like these, score 110 points or more, and then the other side of it will be, both these teams to score, 95 or less, and you bet them. And the nice part about these, if you do win and you get the right side, they have a pool of $250,000 it starts at, and once there is a winner of the bet, they pay out how many ever people, they divide it into a bonus bet on the Hard Rock app. So if you do use the Hard Rock app here in the Florida area or wherever, might be worth looking into because they do pay out these little bonus bets here. So pretty cool. I did one earlier this month that had one, and it was like a $25 payout bonus bet, which is free money. I won, a $100 win plus a free 25. So pretty
Nice.
cool little concept that they do over at the Hard Rock Bet.
Not a sponsor, by the way.
No, not yet.
But it's a huge money grab for them too, because the way they do this, that 110, to Tyler's point, I think the other side of that was both teams to score under 98. The middle is so huge that it lands in the middle more times than not. So when someone wins, that's why they spread the wealth with the free bets, which is great.
Tyler, Lightning tied it up.
Oh, I'm aware, Bubba. I'm aware. I watched the games, buddy. I got that's what I got on my other screen here. So definitely. Hopefully they pull this one out. We'll see. I got speaking of hockey, as we know that we got a lot of hockey fans on this podcast. We got unfortunately, we'll switch over to the losers here. We got the Rain Man with the hockey loss yesterday. He had the Wild on an alternate line of -1.5. I believe they ended up losing by 1 in that game. So unfortunately for the Rain Man, $55 down the tubes, unfortunately.
Big alternative
for
line
friend.
guy here, huh?
Yeah. Apparently he doesn't believe in Vegas and he just wants to do it on his own, I guess.
Well, if you look, we obviously took a screenshot of this, but if you look and see, there's 3 green numbers there, so he's up beginning of the week, so he can play around a little bit.
For sure. Yeah, well, we got Rain Man there. Unfortunately, like I said, took the L on that one. So we'll go over to, I believe we had a first time bettor with us or submitter, and it was Tom Z. Tom Z submitted his bet here on Instagram. Again, send us your bets, guys, on Instagram. You can email us. You can send it on X, the Everything app. You can send it anywhere, any of our social medias. We'll get them and trail them down. And hopefully you get a W and put you in the winners column here. But Tom Z, unfortunately, he had a very different parlay here with this one. He had Tyler Warren being the first drafted tight end. Unfortunately, didn't happen. Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry, I know to JayAsh's chagrin, also did not win the Zurich Classic. Oklahoma City still looks good, and Boston looks good, but it doesn't really matter at this point anymore. But that's Tom Z. Thanks for sending that in there, Tom Z.
I do like where his head is, though, with that NBA Finals matchup. So hopefully it comes true.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, the Tyler Warren play was probably the right play. No one saw those two flipping positions there. So it was a little bit of a head scratcher, when the Bears took a tight end regardless. So I think everybody was kind of shocked that they took that one and not Tyler Warren.
Yeah, I was a little surprised on that one. I thought they were definitely going to take Tyler Warren. Guy plays like every position. It's pretty crazy. But last but not least, and again, unfortunately, another loss here for JP. JP sent this one in. He had the Yankees. I believe this was yesterday. So he had the Yankees -1.5, the Rays -1.5. I think the Rays ended up losing. I'm not sure on the Magic. Yeah, the Rays ended up losing. So unfortunately, took the L here for this parlay. But hopefully he gets back in the winners columns and send us your bets, guys. We would appreciate them. Would love to talk about it. Would love to give you your high praises when you get some W's.
Producer Tyler, do we have another ticket from JP that's still live? Do we not?
I do not have another one. I don't believe. Not on me. He may have sent it in, but I do not think I have it.
Oh, okay.
Well, we'll get to it next week because, like you said, I think I saw it too, Jay. It's gonna looks like
win.
Yeah, it's gonna come down to the Lightning game. It looks like so.
Yeah.
We're back on hockey. Back on hockey.
Right.
So.
Well, we're gonna put you in a holding pattern, JP. So make sure you're listening to the pod and definitely come back next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Jay, you're not going to talk about your end of the year awards winner that you sent us that you're super excited about?
I really like to keep the show about the fans, not so much myself. But
that's a good payoff. That's a good odds.
If you mean Stephen Castle and a $50 bet on Rookie of the Year paying $900, then yes, we could talk about that.
All right. We don't have to talk too much about it, but it's just a great hit. I love that when you say
Ashton and I are both UConn Husky fans, so good to see Castle off to a good start. So.
What was nice too is it was a UConn homer bet, obviously, but I typically I'll sprinkle 2 or 3 of those player awards around, and you wind up giving a little bit back on what you want. But I only took 2 guys. I took him and Klingon. Both were right around the same range, so. Give back the 50 on Klingon, but you net 850 out of the deal, and it's a hell of a play.
Yeah,
it's a cool bet too, right? Like, barring no injury, you get to watch a couple players play the whole season. You're always keeping an eye on them, what they're doing, how they're performing. So it's a cool bet to make. Future bets like that. Yeah,
and it's safer too in the NBA because it's typically going to be a top 4 to 5 pick, if not 1 and 2.
Right.
Where in the NFL, it's pretty much, you're a rookie QB and you started, you get it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
great.
All right. Well, let's get into bragging rights, which I don't think there's a lot of bragging going on for this past week.
Yeah, last week was ugly.
Yep.
Yes, it was, unfortunately, fellas. I'll just go through them real quick here. We had Jeff. You had the Knicks. Or you had the Pistons money line, excuse me. You had the OKC Thunder 8.5 point spread. You had the Nuggets money line, and then you had the under on the Memphis Showboats and the Birmingham Stallions.
Yeah, so real quick,
37.5.
I went 0 for 3 on the basketball, and then I also lost that under football bet because that game went to overtime. So my luck was just not good last week.
0 for 4 is pretty much a win, though. They should pay you your money back at the very least on 0 for 4.
Right? I agree.
And then we got JayAsh. JayAsh had the Thunder -9.5, the Diamondbacks -1.5, Rory and Shane Lowry. Again, we already saw that. They unfortunately did not win. And then Tetman Millen, was he the first wide receiver taken, or did our guy get
he was the first taken, named
not
the
named
other guy.
Travis Hunter.
Yeah. So 1 for 3 on that card. I'm moving on.
It's in the rear view. And then we had Bubba. Bubba had the Lightning money line. He had the Ottawa Senators money line. He had the Texas Rangers money line. And then he had the over in runs in the Nationals Orioles game last week. I believe the Lightning did not win that game that day. Unfortunately, that weekend. So that was Bubba's L for this past bragging rights. So no bragging rights this week. But this week we got Jeff. Why don't you go through your card here and tell us about it?
Yeah, it would come. We're already coming down to the wire on this one. So I have the Red Sox winning on the money line. They're currently up. The Mets winning on the money line. They're currently up 1-0. So that's obviously far from over. I got the Yankees and the Orioles. Instead of betting the game, I bet the over, which is 9.5. And right now, that game is 5-4 in the 8th inning. So I need somebody to score a run, preferably the Yankees. But I need somebody to score a run there.
You said the 8th inning?
Yeah, 8th, yeah.
Okay.
And the Dodgers won already, so that was an afternoon game. So, I mean, I'm in decent shape right now, but I need somebody to score a run in that Yankees game.
You and me both.
And then we got JayAsh. JayAsh, why don't you go through yours here?
Yeah, not a problem at all. 25 pays 11.58, so I went a little deeper than Jeff here. But
wow,
Rockets -1.5 for the first quarter. That's already in. I think they're up 28-30 right now. But it was a nice first quarter play. Same thing with the Lakers -2.5. Looking for the home team to come out strong, get some calls, and just handle their business at home. Nuggets +6.5. It's a big number. I know they're going back to LA. I just don't see the Clippers with that, killer instinct. And I just think Jokic is going to want a little bit of rest before the next round. And I think he takes care of business. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think 6.5 is just too much. And then Jake Knapp, top 10, lock it in. It's a birdie fest in McKinney, Texas. This weekend, course is going to play much like the Mexico course. So I look at Knapp as a potential winner of the tournament, but definitely top 10. So I'll take 25 to win 11.58 and see you guys next week when I have my bragging rights back.
I hope you do.
Me too.
all right,
Be great.
Then we got Bubba.
yes. I'll just say this: I'm already out. I lost, but I'll walk you through here. I need some Cubs magic. That one's still alive. I need them. They're down by 1 in the 8th. Same thing, kind of Jeff's situation. The Cavs don't play till Sunday. I got the Knicks to win, and then the one that's got me out already is the over 7 in the Guardians Twins game, which happened a little bit earlier, and they scored 6 runs, not 7. Couldn't even get me to the push. But another 25 down the drain and another week without bragging rights.
Producer Tyler, I know the Hard Rock is not a sponsor quite yet, but if we can get some contact over there and see if we could set up for them to post a wager, which would be Bubba being eliminated before the end of the pod, I think our listeners would hammer the under.
More than likely. Than likely.
So
I don't think they'll even take that action.
They probably won't.
Stay hot. All right.
We got some great games on right now. It looks like, Golden State looks like they look like the Heat right now. They're getting crushed.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's just like I didn't want to interrupt you while you were talking about your bragging rights ticket, JayAsh, but the Clippers didn't look like they even wanted to play yesterday. That was very odd. Yeah, it was. I don't know. So we'll see. I have a feeling playing at home. That is one of the true home court advantages. I think.
Yep.
I think they'll come out now. But like you said, Denver definitely, they're a battle tested team. They won a title a couple years ago. They know how important the rest is. So I agree with you. They're going to try to close it out. It should be an interesting game. So
Denver had them by 20 in Game 4. It was a hell of a comeback by the Clippers. Crazy finish. So I think maybe that finish sucked the life out of them.
Maybe.
Harden forgot he likes strip clubs more than playing ball.
Yeah, he had a rough game. He had a rough game yesterday.
Yep. So, all right. Well, I think we're coming to the end. Like I said, we're recording a day earlier than we typically do. We have producer Tyler. Want to just give everybody a quick update on why you're leaving tomorrow?
Yeah, going to Kiowa Island to play some golf.
Wow.
With some buddies. So there's 8 of us going. Some members of the Casual Chaos community. But we're going to play some golf. 3 days of golf. I'm driving up to South Carolina there tomorrow. So very excited about playing some really good fun course and getting my ass kicked a little bit on the golf course.
Very cool.
How many people in the car with you?
2 in me, so only 3. So it's not too crowded. Rented a decent sized vehicle so that we got plenty of room.
Well, they're going to be pumped to listen to the pod at least twice on the ride up. So that's
Yeah,
exciting.
I know, right?
Let's get those listens up on Spotify and YouTube.
Hey, if you get a couple nice pictures on the course, throw them up on Instagram. So.
Yeah. I will definitely let you guys know. And hopefully, I'll be winning all my bets on the golf course, so I can just kind of throw those in next week.
That's a fantastic trip.
You'll
definitely have a
be
good
off
time.
the course. Yeah, absolutely. You'll definitely be off the course, though, like Jay mentioned, by the time the Derby starts, because they started at like 8 o'clock now.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. We kind of made dinner plans somewhat around the Derby as well, knowing that the Derby was happening. So I think our dinner's somewhat after the Derby jumps
Very
off.
cool.
So we're excited about it.
That's fantastic. All right. Well, I think that does it. Another excellent podcast by the Casual Chaos crew. So for Bubba, Jeff, and producer Tyler, we're going to get ready to sign off here. But again, follow us on all the socials at Casual Chaos Live. Wherever you pod, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, you can find us. Casual Chaos Live podcast, the Sports Wagering Community. Hit them straight, Tyler. Hit them straight if you guys are putting pegs in the ground this weekend as well. Hope your tickets hit and everything you guys do. Enjoy the Derby. Enjoy the Kentucky Oaks on Friday. Let's have a great weekend, everybody. Let's be great at this. And we're going to see everybody next week when we're back to our normal schedule recording on Thursday. Thanks, everyone.
All
right.
Great
Take
job,
care.
fellas. Great
See
job.
you guys.
Hi, everyone. This is JayAsh, one of the hosts of the Casual Chaos podcast you are about to listen to discusses gambling and wagering on sporting events. Please be advised the gambling and sports wagering content during this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute financial or gambling advice. Sports wagering involves significant risk. If you choose to gamble, please do so responsibly and only gamble with funds that you can comfortably afford to lose. All opinions, wagering tickets discussed, or implied wagers on the Casual Chaos podcast are not guarantees to result in financial gain. You must be 21 years or older or of legal gambling age in your jurisdiction to participate in sports wagering. Please verify the gambling and sports wagering laws and regulations within your jurisdiction prior to placing bets. Listeners are solely responsible for their own wagering decisions and outcomes. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call or text the National Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. We encourage everyone to engage with sports betting responsibly. The host and the Casual Cast podcast assume no liability for any losses incurred as a result of listening to this content.